AGDQ 2025 just wrapped up last week, so of course it's time for my biannual look at some of my favorite runs from the event. The group ended the week raising over $2.5 million for the Prevent Cancer Foundation. Amazing work as always. Now let's talk about some of my favorite runs of the event, and if you caught any yourself this year, what were your favorites? Let me know in the comments down below. The first game I want to talk about that was run at AGDQ 2025 is Shenmue. When I first saw the schedule, I always like to look at the schedule before the event happens and see what's coming up, and I saw that Shenmue was being speedrun, and it got me so excited because I didn't really know anything about Shenmue speedruns. I figured that it existed, but I had never really looked one up. I'm actually watching some of it now as I record this. So I watched a couple of speedruns, older speedruns from like a couple of years ago, and realized that the majority of the game was just waiting around or going on the bus back and forth from the town to the docks. And I'm like, if this is really it, this is going to take forever and it's not going to be very entertaining. But boy, was I wrong, because it's so much fun watching this run because they found a way to skip time. Like, they basically make time go super fast. This is the PC remake, so I think it's a little different with like some of the technical stuff you can do to it, but they really break this game too. It's not just, oh, we sit around and wait for things to happen. They speed up time, but then they're also like going into different menus, and like at one point, part of the menu is on the screen and they're like having to try and work through the game with the menu up, which I found was really fun. And then there's things that you just never would think of. It's like during the workday, you know, you're used to playing Shenmue and like, oh, I gotta move these boxes from warehouse to warehouse. They're just like, we're not gonna do that. Oh, special moves that somebody might teach me, we're not learning any of that because that slows down the speed run. So sometimes I'm like cringing because I'm like, why do they keep saying no? Like, just learn the special move. But it's all in an effort to make this game go as fast as possible. The game takes about 3.5 hours, a little less than 3.5 hours to beat, which is insane because as a kid it took, tens of hours to get through this game. And to do it in 3 hours, 3.5 hours is just, it's so funny. You know this if you've watched my channel at all, that I love Shenmue, and watching this speedrun was just a great time. If you like Shenmue, go watch this speedrun, it's a ton of fun. The runner, Maxi Loves, does a great job of explaining how everything works, and his commentary couch behind him does a great job of working with him. If you like Shenmue, go check out this speedrun. It's totally worth it. Check out the link in the description down below for all the runs that I'm going to talk about right now. You know, I got to put at least one spooky game on this list, and this year it was Silent Hill 2 Remake. I love Silent Hill 2. It's probably one of my favorite horror games, if not my favorite horror game of all time. And watching Captain Ezekiel absolutely destroy the remake of Silent Hill 2 was so much fun, especially on the difficulty. It was on hard restricted. I think I played it on easy or normal. I definitely did not play it on hard. So it's always cool to see people not only play the game very fast, but play it on a very hard difficulty like this. There's something about a game like Silent Hill 2 Remake that's supposed to be atmospheric and creepy and just terrifying, being blown through at a speed that makes it just not that. I find it so funny that this game is just running past all the terrifying stuff, just going, I don't have time for you. I have to find the keys to this puzzle to get through the game. It's just like, yeah, don't care about the nurses, don't care about the mannequins, don't care about any of that. Just, I gotta get by you. It's so funny to watch. But Captain Ezekiel, great runner of this game. The couch is always is great as well. Ecdysis and Maxi Loves being on the couch. Again, he was in the first game, now he's here as well. Just doing a great job of commentating on this game. So much fun. Really relatively short, around 2 hours, 15 minutes. Pretty easy to digest run if you're like me. That's no time at all when you're used to watching Final Fantasy speedruns. Speaking of which, I got to talk about the Final Fantasy run of the event, and that was Final Fantasy VII Rebirth by WODB. Such an awesome run. When I first started watching speedrunning, Final Fantasy games were the ones that engrossed me the most. So I always enjoyed GDQ events where they run a Final Fantasy game. WODY knocked it out of the park with this one. It was a ton of fun to watch. It's crazy to see Final Fantasy games be played in a speedrunning format, because games that normally take tens, hundreds of hours for some people, watching them be done in this case in 6 hours was just insane. All you have to do is fast forward through a lot of stuff, skip every cutscene, and have a deep knowledge of the combat system and all the mechanics of the game, and you can do the same thing. This makes me want to go back and play Rebirth again. I just finished it, I think it took me about 60 or 70 hours, and that was skipping pretty much all the side content after like chapter 3. so I want to go back and do all that. But this is one of those runs that I will go back and watch whenever I'm just like, I don't know what to watch. I'll just put this on in the background because I love Final Fantasy speedruns. And this is a great one. Wody did great. Go check it out. It's a lot of fun, about 6 hours, give or take. And it was just a blast the whole way through. Definitely go check it out. Each year, AGDQ or SGDQ has what I like to call gimmick speedruns. So it's not only about running games super fast, but about some gimmick that they add to make it even more exciting. You may be thinking about 4-player races or blindfolded speedruns. This year it seemed to be music that was the main gimmick, so let's talk about some of the musical speedruns we had at AGDQ 2025. First up, we have Wes playing New Super Mario Bros. Wii while playing the piano. And at first I was kind of like, is the piano going to be the controller? No, it turns out he's just playing his own arrangements of the game's soundtrack while playing the game, but he's playing the game with a Joy-Con strapped to his head and one strapped to his foot. There's a lot of fun to watch this run happen because it's so complicated. Not only playing music, but using your head and foot to control the game was just insane. Next up, we had Elden Ring on the saxophone. I was a little disappointed. I had my expectations set that they were going to come up with just an old school analog saxophone and just play that to play the game. Turns out it's a digital saxophone, lots of doops and deets, but it's still a lot of fun to watch. I think one of my favorite genre of games, not only in speedrunning, but it's just people beating From Software games and with just weird tech like a dance pad. There's the girl that did it with her mind, apparently. It's just like really wild to see what people can beat From Software games with. And playing a digital saxophone to beat it is also very enjoyable and musical. I really enjoyed it a lot. And finally, for the musical gimmick speedruns of the year, Crazy Taxi with a live backing band. So cool, such a cool idea. Something they've never done before, but having him play Crazy Taxi while this band behind him is just rocking out was so cool to see, and I think that's something that shows the ever-shifting way that GDQ can be run. It's not always just about the speedrun, but about the things that they can do while the speedrun is happening. And this was just a crazy example of that. The band was awesome. They did a great job. Speedrun was quick and fast. I love Crazy Taxi, one of my favorite games for the Dreamcast. And this was just a super fun run to watch, and you should go check it out. Alright, I've got to talk about Zelda speedruns. There's many throughout these events, and there's two from this AGDQ that I want to talk about. The first one being The Legend of Zelda: The Wind Waker by Linkus 7, which seems to just be an every event kind of thing. He always runs this game, but I understand why. It's just one of those speed games that's always a joy to watch, and it's always fun to watch him do it. He's very informative, very knowledgeable about the game, and very good at speedrunning The Wind Waker. This event was no different. A great, enjoyable run by Linkus. Lots of great tech to show. Really enjoyable to watch. Go check that one out. I'll keep it short and sweet. Go watch Linkus 7 run The Wind Waker. He's great at it. And then the second one I want to talk about is the Breath of the Wild 2 players, 1 controller. I find this, we just talked about the gimmick speedruns of AGDQ. This is technically a gimmick, but man, is it a cool one. There were so many parts of the Breath of the Wild that I would get kind of stuck at, or I'd have to go back and run through again. And to watch 2 people play with 1 controller and just absolutely destroy the game was just such an entertaining thing to watch. They're very knowledgeable about the game. They know how to do everything. They make everything look so easy. They're breaking the game. They're beating everything with ease. It's just insane to watch, and definitely one that you need to go watch. Breath of the Wild, 2 players, 1 controller. Nutty. Final speedrun I want to talk about from AGDQ. This comes from Tomato Angus. The G is silent, as he plays Fallout New Vegas. If you were around my channel for the last little few months of 2024, I really got into running Bethesda games, specifically Oblivion and Fallout 3 and New Vegas. So it was a blast to watch this be played. Bethesda speedruns are just so broken because the games themselves are so broken. So there's all kinds of stuff that you just be like, I never knew that could be possible in these games. But they are so broken, and the tech that these speedrunners use to break Bethesda games are so entertaining. They're flying around the map, characters are bugging out, all this stuff is happening, and it's just such an entertaining watch to watch Bethesda games be speedrun. And Tomato Angus, just an enjoyable speedrunner. He's just full of character, and everything's so funny, and he's just a great guy. He does hilarious commentary as well with his couch. They had this rose bit that was going on because this was an all romances, any percent speedrun, which I thought was an interesting way to run the game. It's just so comedic and so funny, and the game's broken in so many ways. I love it so much. He's a great speedrunner. Go check him out and enjoy this run because it was an absolute blast to watch and was so entertaining. So those were just a few of my favorite games from AGDQ 2025. I hope you enjoyed. Reminder, let me know down below what your favorite runs from the event were, and we can talk about them down below. See you all at SGDQ 2025. Thanks for watching. Reminder to subscribe, like, hit that notification bell, and I'll see you in the next video. I love you. Bye-bye.